Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including Promised Neverland, which we'll be getting into right now. I'm Andy Potter, and today I'm joined by Alex Bonilla.
Hello.
And Steve Zach.
Hi.
Today we'll be talking about the 11th episode of Promised Neverland, 14/01/46, January 14th, 2046. But before we get into that, you can find more about this podcast at overlyanimated.com. And you can subscribe to us on iTunes at overlyanimated.com/iTunes or on YouTube at youtube.com/overlyanimated. So, this was a big episode of Promised Neverland. If you're listening to this podcast and you've not watched the episode, like every episode, please watch the episode first, but this one especially, please watch the episode first before listening, because we're going straight into spoilers that are really big.
If we were a big budget podcast, we could open this podcast with a cut of Billy Joel's "We Didn't Start the Fire."
we would get a content claimed immediately.
I know. I'm just saying we're a big budget podcast, and that's why I'm not even going to sing this week. So,
dude, the intro of this show uses fire in it, and you wasted the fire joke on a Billy Joel reference. Come on.
No, Alex, I was like literally as soon as I saw the oil and Ray mention the fire, I was like, oh my god, it was in the opening the entire time.
Right, it's right there.
Anyway, let's get into this. Let's get into this. Alex, what were your impressions of this crazy episode?
Well, this episode was straight fire. Like, if the fire emoji, that's what it was. Like, I think that the episode did a really good job of tying up the Ray and Emma being exhausted or defeated in the last episode. Like, we already kind of theorized that was like a play, but like now it's like actually filling in the holes of like what happened in the meantime, and just they finally do the escape after like that's what this series is building to, right? And they finally end up doing a whole elaborate plan and everything, and there are some like. Ray has very strong moments in this episode that we'll get to, and I think that in terms of animation, it continues to have its moments of like, oh, okay, we're like, this is where they need to be extra, and they're doing it well. And the ending, like, even though like, since the escape is something we've been building to, so like you could argue that this is like the climax of the show, but I think that there is some stuff in the ending that's still like, oh, okay, like what's going on here? Maybe not as giant as like the escape itself, but like there's still stuff that you would say, okay, well, we need one more episode to like fully tie this together. So I think overall, like as a second to last episode, it really delivers, and I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, awesome. So Steve, how did you react to this episode?
It was great. I think we really lucked out. I think this, except for episode 1, this might be maybe the best episode of the season. Like I said, Norman was so smart, even in like alleged death. He was able to plan all these moves, and he kind of knew Ray was very suicidal. So let's give Norman some credit there. And what else? But yeah, it was comics. I really thought for real though that Norman set himself on fire when we're going from Isabel's perspective. They fooled me. Honestly, they fooled me. So good job, series. And really, I think I told you guys a few episodes ago that Isabel's downfall would be underestimating Don and Gilda. I told them, do not underestimate them. They're going to come up big when you least expect it. So Don and Gilda, great job. And also great job to the episode MVP, Anna. Her hair was the key to this plan. So Anna, good job.
Who?
The blonde girl who they used her ponytails.
Right. But who?
Yeah, exactly.
She's like the 5th most popular character in the second popularity poll.
What?
I didn't even know she existed until saw her hair.
Right. Like, no, I think that this episode, like, it lays it out well. Like, hey, there's a girl with braids here, and this is important to this particular part of the plan. But it doesn't really matter who the girl is. So, like,
I kept saying her name, and I was just like, "Whomst is this?" Like, over and over.
Right. But it makes sense in the framework of the plan. So.
I don't get it either, though. I don't get it either. Why she's so popular? I'm just saying, because she's so popular, I know her name. Japan is weird with their popularity polls.
Yeah, I have nothing to add to that popularity poll thing, but I really like this episode. I really enjoyed it. I think it was very, very tense from beginning to end, and it reached a level of tension that I don't think has been reached in the show since the first episode. It was insane from beginning to end. There was, I really bought into Ray burning himself to death. I thought, like, the show sold me on it actually happening. So when Isabella runs into the room, I thought Ray might actually be in the fire, dying. Like that's how insane this show is. Like, that I believe that they would do that. And I also really liked the way that we built up to tricking Mom. I thought that was really well done. I think it really pays off how long we waited for it. Like, I think even though we didn't have the time skip till after that long, not really slog, but long span of episodes where not a lot happened, it really feels like we, as the viewer, also spent a long time making Mom underestimate these kids. And I really appreciated seeing that. Not to mention Emma finally, like, really feels like the lead here. She is the one directing everything. And it was incredible to see that. I really loved that she was the one that tricked Mom in the end, not Ray and Emma and Norman together. It was Emma. Emma was the thing that Mom could not predict. And
I just think, though, it's the idea, though, they learned to compromise a bit, that they said they're not going to take every kid, but they're going to take more than what Ray wanted to take originally. So they learned to compromise. So
yeah,
they're on the same page. That was the key, because that was the thing that was getting in their way before, was everyone had their own little plans, their own agenda, so we're finally on the same page, so hopefully now we can escape.
Well, wait, I'm confused, but didn't they actually take all the kids in the end?
I thought they took all the kids too, yeah.
They left the babies behind.
But, so they died in the fire, is that what
No, Isabella got them out.
I thought everyone was with Emma. I don't know. I don't know if
they left the youngest, the very, very youngest kids. They left. They made it clear in the episode. They left the youngest kids along with Phil. They left the youngest kids there.
I thought Phil was like a tie-in for next episode, that they'd go back for Phil to save him.
Oh, maybe so.
Oh, okay.
Well, all I know is that Emma at one point says, "I guess you were right. I couldn't take everybody." She did say that at one point.
There was so much happening. I feel bad for missing that line.
Yeah, but they're not important. They're the super youngest characters.
Phil here.
Yeah. Oh, Phil. Like I said, either two things. Either Phil is like his job is to buy them some time, keep Isabella out of the way as long as he can, or he's going to discipline Isabella for her failures if he is like the mastermind, like we all think he is.
I just can't get over that Phil was in every single episode of this show. I just can't get over that.
And actually, Norman. Okay, and Norman was in this episode besides being dead. I kind of wonder if he'll be in next week's episode, because if not, then there's a chance that Phil's going to be in more episodes than Norman.
Yes, I know. I know this, Steve. If you listen to last week's podcast, I bring this up, and I'm very upset about it. Sorry, Alex, were you going to say something?
Well, just while we're on the topic of Phil, like, I think that it's definitely a weird ending to do it on, but I mean, again, I might be infected by the theories going on here, but you do wonder, like, if Phil, like, has some, like, special connection to it, where, like, Emma tells all the kids this plan, and Phil is the one who gets left behind and is able to tell Isabella the plan, sort of thing, because he wasn't like paying attention or whatever. So, like, I think that it adds an extra wrinkle, and it allows us to get, like, an Isabella chasing the kids scene that will probably be very tense in the
Yeah.
next episode
No matter-
if we decide to go down that route.
No
Yeah.
matter what, we can all agree that Phil is definitely smart, like real smart than any like average boy his age. He's too smart to be normal for someone his age.
I don't know what's up with Phil, and I don't even want to try to guess anymore
Because it's not even smartness; it's just popping up in the right place at the right time.
Creepiness.
The creepiness is not smartness. So.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. He's like the Onion of the show.
Sure.
That makes it a lot worse.
I mean, makes it tolerable.
I do. We're going to talk about Isabella because I do have some thoughts on this.
Don't jump around too much. We need to stay still. Let's stay still for like 20 minutes, please.
Okay.
Let's focus and try to go down piece by piece, and we can get to everything we want to talk about. Steve.
Okay.
So I don't know what the headliner here is. Is it the house burning? I guess like the seed where the oil, or is it like we cut off ears? I think this is kind of the episode that we need to maybe just go like in
Wait
order.
a minute. I just thought of something. Another song. Talking Heads burning down the house.
Okay, we don't need to mention every fire song in existence.
We're not gonna just list them out, Steve. That's not how it works. Let's just start at the top because Steve is clearly just gonna list out fire-themed songs as I go, no matter what I do.
I'm done. That's all the good songs left.
I literally do not believe you. So yeah, let's just start with this scene at the beginning where we start like literally where last episode ends, and we have Ray and Emma talking, and Emma just reveals to Ray her entire plan. And I think last episode it kind of implied that Ray and Emma were in on the plan together, but here it makes it very clear that Ray was doing his own thing and Emma was doing her own thing. And I find that very interesting. Like that they were actually not communicating during this like month-long gap. There was, sorry.
I found it interesting that ultimately the one who was deceived the most of all the kids was Ray. Ray was the double agent. He's the one who was like at the very end, Emma and everyone, Norman included, fooled him. So tables turned a little bit. I like that.
Yeah, well, Ray and Isabel were both kind of tricked.
Yeah, well, it kind of hammers home the one of the themes of this show, the like working together is better than working alone sort of thing. It's like Ray is doing his lone wolf act of like, well, I'm gonna do my thing, and then when the time comes, I'm fine with sacrificing myself, and nobody needs to know about that. But like because Emma is open to working with other people is why she like is able to elaborate this whole plan and like achieve a goal that's much higher than what Ray is aiming for. But because she has that desire that Ray is unwilling to explore, and this whole thing of them. They both have similar aims enough that they both realize that the best way to avoid suspicion is to not communicate. And then from there, they go their own separate ways. But so it makes it interesting that they use the same approach, but then while they're separate is when they like do their own philosophies of how to get out of the situation.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And I think I really like the way this scene is all shot too, because I think that we talk about that in this part of the episode too, because the beginning of the scene starts with like a clock ticking as they're talking, like there's this ticking clock in the background, and it adds this like tension to like what's actually happening, and then it ends on the clock ringing for midnight, and I really like that like capping off this conversation in that way, like I don't know, it feels very well thought out, this entire scene, the way it's shot, the way it's showed to us, the way they tell us the information, and it just tells a full story. And then there's this really ominous music when Ray tells us his plan. I don't know, this scene I really, really like. I really like this scene a lot.
Well, like, I don't know if this is jumping ahead a little too much, but like once Ray like pulls out the box of fuel and like he begins pouring it on himself, like that's where like turns up, like the music begins getting a lot more noticeable. You begin hearing chanting. The animation of Ray himself gets a lot more stylized, like his eyes go giant and his dialogue delivery is getting more manic. So like Ray himself, I think, is what makes the scene that he is ramping up with the other aspects of the production. So like the music is ramping up, the tension is ramping up, but because Ray is slowly going insane in front of Emma, and Emma's just like, what is going on? So I think it all comes together great in that scene. I think Ray is what makes it like whoa.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because it totally ramps up every aspect of the scene ramps up as you go in there. I just think it's crazy because Emma even starts getting louder and stuff as it goes, as if she's trying to yell over the music, which is what they're raising the volume of their speaking so that it plays over the music. But but it has this effect of seeming like she's trying to just yell over this tumultuous thing that's happening when it's actually just a quiet room. And I think it's a really cool effect.
Well, it's using the sense of desperation, right? Emma is slowly realizing what's happening, and it's wait, whoa, what? No, this isn't right.
He's insane.
Yeah.
I kind of wonder though if Ray's original plan was to burn himself and Isabella together, so he could take Isabella out of the picture to help let everyone else escape.
And I think it's kind of time I think we can maybe talk about Ray's plan without talking about Emma's, because I think whether you clearly suicide's not good, but the thing is this does really mess up Isabella's plans if this goes on. You know what I mean? This would look really bad for Isabella if he killed himself here. Which is funny, I guess.
Didn't we all predict that maybe Ray's sort of redemption might be a suicide?
Well, that's terrible, but I'll say that this also is the difficulty I have with saying this is a good plan is that yes, Ray is the most mature of them, and so you think oh, okay, she's going to go into the fire to save Ray. But do you do that at the cost of ignoring the whole rest of your herd and potentials that grow up? That part I struggle with a little. Does Ray really believe he's that important?
I found it disturbing though that Isabella's reaction was, "Can I save the brains? If I can just save the brains, maybe I can get something." That's so disturbing.
I think that's going a little far ahead, but yeah, I agree. That's one of the creepier parts of the episode when she Isabella we can get into Isabella later. Let's focus on Emma and Rachel, because I think there's a lot of Isabella to talk about here. Because I think my next thing I want to talk about before we move out of this scene in this room is that I really like how we play into the fact that Emma is the center of attention here. She is the center of everybody. Everybody comes to talk to her, and she uses that to her advantage because all the kids come talking to Emma anyways, and so Isabella never expected that Emma was giving them plans by coming over to talk to her. She just didn't see it coming. And I just love that we're using Emma's strength as they're explained to us in the show in a way that makes sense. This was really cool. Cause when we broke Emma's leg, it really felt like we were making Emma lose everything she had. She had no strength over Emma. That was her thing. Her physical body was better than other people's. And it was just, I don't know. I really liked this twist. It was really good for me.
And I'm glad that we used Emma showcase how smart she is. She often gets overshadowed by Ray and Norman in the brains department. So this really was Emma's chance to shine and her intelligence to shine.
Yeah, and I really loved that. The shot when they were talking to Crone and you see that there's more people out there besides Don and Gilda, I think I really loved that because it just recontextualizes a lot of the show. Last week we talked about how there were kids saying goodbye to Norman that seemed a little bit too in the know when he was talking to them. And they were kids that were at the doorway.
And it's we've seen in past episodes Norman and Ray having conversations behind the scenes hey, what's the plan going forward? We can't tell Emma about this. But now it's nice to have the other side. Hey, Emma and Norman had things going on too that Ray was never aware of at all. And this was all happening at the same time. So it adds a whole another thread of complications into how their dynamic has gone throughout this entire show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think there's actually a risk here. This is hidden. They're saying that there's information or in earlier episodes that we the audience didn't know about, and that has a risk. But I think it works here because they give us new information about a time skip we didn't see. So I think it has we're less worried about the information that was during episodes we didn't see. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
I think it's out of the way enough that it doesn't feel distracting. They're behind a door, and when we were watching that scene, we were inside the door, and we were focusing on what Crone is saying. So who cares what's happening outside that room? Yeah. So when you throw that information out, it's oh, okay. But because you weren't thinking about it at the time, not because it feels retconned in any way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just it's fun and interesting because this is a tightrope you can walk, and but I think they did it really well. This did not feel bad at all. I just loved all of it. Did you guys have anything else you want to say about the scene before we get into like kind of the even crazier parts of this episode?
Well, right before Ray is about to pour himself the oil, like he begins going like, "I'm a human being, sirs," right?
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
like the brief bit of like touching on like humanity versus being food, like it's not something that's been touched on that much in this show since the first episode, but like it's good to remind ourselves, yeah, like they're kind of like struggling between like. Are we like our own beings in this universe? Like, are we meant to just be food? So
I don't know.
like, and like that would drive a person crazy, maybe. So like, I'm just saying, like, it was a good capper right before he like turns on the torch. It felt like the right thing to do, before the moment of pure insanity.
Oh, good point. Ray doing his best Aaron Yeager impression. Which is why I like this show a lot better than that other one, because it doesn't just bring that same point all the time. It doesn't beat you on the head to the same themes they're trying to build your head into. That's why Promised Neverland is a great show. I love it, so.
Yeah. This scene is great, but I think I want to move into the scene that kind of like connects to it in a way, because we have, like I said, the scene ends with the clock ringing midnight. And then we jump to Isabella, who is putting the children to sleep. She's just kind of walking around the house. And we kind of expect to hear stuff from the kitchen, because we know that Ray has presumably just lit himself on fire, and Emma's tried to stop him. But then we hear the clock ring midnight in her office. And I think this is such a brilliant choice, because they somehow got like 2 moments of tension from the same moment, essentially, and it works both times for me, because this second time from Isabella's office is like almost even more tense than the one that happened in the kitchen. I really like this setup before we see her run into the kitchen.
Yeah. And I also think, though, this is like the first time since episode 1 we have seen Isabella actually let her guard down a little bit and not just be completely this like monotone, like this like force that's in our way.
Yeah, because she checks off the day and she like sees that tomorrow is Ray's birthday, and she looks almost like genuinely happy, like she did it, like it's almost over. The hardest part with these kids is almost over. Mm-hmm. Before we get on to like Isabel running into the room there, Alex, did you like this little setup scene before we get in there?
I appreciate the choice to be like, okay, well, let's go to the other character that's important, but like, let's do it like 15 seconds before the main event happened. So like, I appreciate that part of it. I don't think that the tension for me personally worked as much, but like, it's certainly like a good setup to like, what I like about it was like Emma slow motion running towards the match, and then like we fade to mom humming the lullaby. I think the transition was really nice.
Oh yeah,
and then from there it's like you're just waiting for mom to figure out what's going on.
And by the way, you see definitely Isabella, no matter what, she does have an influence on these kids, and because like a couple episodes ago, Ray was humming the same lullaby, which I assumed he got from Isabella, so. She's still sort of their mom no matter what, in a weird, twisted way, even though they know the truth. She still has a little influence on them.
Do these kids know what music is?
Yes. No. They know what music is.
Are we sure? Did they let them bring in records from the outside
I don't.
world?
You mean that they listen to music? I don't know that. I don't know.
Yeah, like what if that's the only song they've ever listened to?
That would be. I don't know.
I don't know. Would that drive me crazy, only knowing one song?
That would drive me insane.
Make you wanted to lit yourself on fire enough?
Oh my god. Let's move on before Steve finds another song to reference. I just realized we're moving into song territory. But yeah, and I think I kind of want to talk about Isabella here, because this is kind of where Isabella starts fraying in this episode, because I think the rest of this episode is just an arc for Isabella becoming more and more unhinged as she realizes that she might have lost control here. And the beginnings of this is that she stops caring about saving Ray as a human and more about just making sure his brain is okay. And that's all she cares about by the end of this scene. And I find that really interesting. Just when she's lost a little bit of control, she kind of loses control of herself as well. And I find that really interesting, just how easily she crumbles when there's a piece of this whole thing that she's not in control of.
Yeah, and I think like it's a way of like showing that her composure is more of like hiding her true intentions to like keep the kids at bay, but like deep down this is always what she thinks of the kids as like it adds that extra unknowingness to it, because I think for a while we're like people are going back and forth on like, well, does she actually care about the kids? Because like in some conversations she seems to be like actually motherly in like in a twisted way, but nonetheless like she's doing what a mother would normally do. But I think that a scene like this helps to like show like deep down like she never loses sight of the fact that at the end of the day that's what she's raising these kids for. And so in that sense I do appreciate it more of like rather than it being like necessarily crumbling in terms of like her desires, but more of just like fading away of the fake veneer that she usually has to put on.
Yeah, I think by the end of this episode, there's no denying that she is doing this for either self-preservation or because she wants, like, she's just trying to make a good product. Like, it doesn't seem like she's doing this out of any real love for these kids by the end.
Mm-hmm. Oh, at the very least, it seems that she's just completely lost, like, her mind. She's just insane now. Yeah, at the very least.
And the way, like, I don't know, it's just kind of, like, she starts speaking in like a fever pitch, almost matching Ray's earlier in the episode when she's trying to save him. And I think, I don't want to overshadow this part of the scene because Emma's acting here is incredible.
Yeah.
And we've seen it earlier in the show. Like, this has been, like, when I was watching the scene, like, before it was revealed, like, I remembered that Emma is an amazing actor and the show has told us that. Like, the show had told us that Emma was an amazing actor, and she played this perfectly the entire way.
And it fits her personality as the quote emotional one of the group, right? So like she uses that to her advantage in this case by like, you know, like wailing for Ray.
Yeah, and she plays perfectly off Isabella's preconceived notions of her, because Isabella, for a minute, I think in this moment, she forgets that Emma's been trying to escape before now. And that's what they've been waiting for this whole time. In this moment, Isabella doesn't see Emma as a kid that knows what's happening, any of that. She just sees Emma as someone who's watching her friend burn. And that's what they've been waiting for a month and a half. And that's just crazy, the amount of setup Emma did there. And I really just, I don't know. I keep saying it, but Emma really hasn't been as much of the focus I wanted her to be, and this episode just is her episode. She is incredible. Isabella
definitely let her guard down. And you know what? When you describe it, I'm thinking maybe what happened here was that when Isabella found out that Emma tricked her, used her like any care she had for the children against her, that's when she just cut herself off from caring about these children. Yeah. That moment, just being tricked by them. She's like, screw you, I've had enough of this. Screw you all.
Yeah, she stopped trying to, like, when she realized that Ray was out of the fire, she stopped really pretending, not pretending to care, but her mask kind of fell away. God. And then the moment where oh my God, I don't know. And then this follows up with the scene of Isabella checking her tracker and finding the bucket with Emma's earrings. Oh my God. Like, I think we'd been predicting that someone would cut off their ears since like the moment we found out they were in the ears, but oh my God. This is it. Like, the fact that Emma just ran around the corner, quickly cut her own ear off, and it was so shocking that Isabella was shocked by that. It's just insane. I don't know.
I kind of wonder maybe if Isabella's at least have a little flashback thinking if she in her youth trying to make an escape that failed, if she's thinking, why didn't I think of that? If I had a little more to guts to cut off my own ear.
Well, I think it's more like you don't imagine that a kid of that age will ever get to the desperation point of like mutilating themselves for the point of escape, and that's like another reason for Isabella's downfall here. It's like she has underestimated like how desperate these children have become. And I would just also like to mention that the music is continuing to rise, and like here when we figure out that she's cut off her ear, like saxophone gets added to this, which is also pretty incredible. That part like makes it sound more like the intro, and like the intro is all like hype. So it's like adding hype for like figuring out that Emma's cut off her ear is great.
Yeah. And we cut straight to them running through the forest, and I think it really pays off. Like, just it makes you energetic, because I think the thing is, this show is a shonen show, and it's very energetic, and I think usually those parts are weaker, and I think we've talked about that before, than the tense parts and the suspense parts. But I think they mixed them together really well here, because the music really ties us into them being running through the forest, being excited, because we have a win here. We finally have our heroes winning. It's exciting. It's good. And then we cut immediately back to Mom with this record scratch almost to the music, and it's just like really terrifying.
Oh, and she is terrified, and it looked like you had not given up. She thinks she can catch him, which is scary.
Whoa.
Sorry, Alex, were you going to say something?
I don't know if we want to skip to the final Isabella scene, if we want to focus on Isabella first.
Oh, I do. I have one. Like, I have one point I want to bring up about Isabella. If we're ready yet, I'll let you guys make your points first. But
let's keep it. I think it might be easier to talk just about characters at this point.
Okay. Let's just what just threw me off a bit though was seeing Isabella in a different outfit, like. Throughout the series, they wear the same things, the same little like Mom's outfit. It's just like, I don't know, man. One of the shows when these characters all wear the same thing, so when they change outfits, it's just so distracting for a bit.
I mean, it's nighttime. You expect her to wear the same outfit at night.
By the way, I do think she had a very pretty dress. I thought it was nice and stylish, very elegant, very classy. So she's very excellent little style by Isabella. So. That's been my fashion corner.
Okay. The opposite of graceful is her at the very end where she's watching the house burn to the ground, and she has that amazing maniacal laugh like that. That's just great, and like her eyes get giant, and then like she like takes on almost like the aspect of Crone, of like her like, I'll catch you, my children.
What? Witch of the West?
So, pretty much that's what she turns into at the end. But like I love that like the episode begins with like her slowly falling apart, like showing the cracks, and then at the very end is when we finally see her like fully break, and like and then like it's the backdrop with the burning house behind her, so like the contrast is perfect. So it truly is like a steep decline for Isabella in this episode, and it's great to watch it from beginning to end there.
Yeah, it's really cool seeing this like her mentally breaking down with this physical representation of herself breaking in the house. Like, it really ties together really well thematically. And again, like you said, the voice actor is really great here at the end. It is so unhinged. But at the same time, it doesn't feel like she's broken. It feels like we're seeing like the real Isabella at the same time. It's a really interesting, it's interesting the things happening to her character in this whole episode.
No matter what happens, the image to the higher ups of being this perfect caretaker, that's gone. Like, it's no going back. Even if she catches them, brings them back, that image is gone. Her reputation has been sullied.
Yeah. And that's almost worse for her than anything else. And she has nothing to lose now. So she is very scary. And I don't know. I don't know if there's anything else she really, when Phil grabbed her dress. That's the last thing that we really see of it.
Yeah, and I guess she's like a little shocked almost.
Yeah, but it's unclear what she's shocked about.
Could it be? Maybe she's, like I said, maybe she's shocked at Phil's strength. I don't know how hard that felt.
I'm gonna try not to dwell on anything Steve has ever said about Phil here, and just say I don't know why she's shocked to see Phil, but it doesn't seem to be shock from him grabbing her dress alone.
Yeah, like my sensation, like if it's along the lines of like Phil is going to like blab the plans, it's more like shock that this is the one who stayed behind. Even though like I guess we probably already gotten a sense of like Phil being kind of the mama's boy, based on previous episodes. Like he's the one who shows up to Isabella's door a couple of times, so it seems like he has like a intimate connection sort of thing. But I think that with a burning house by your side, you'd still be shocked if like there was any kid left, and it's like, oh, this person is actually loyal to me somehow.
Seriously though, they gotta put a belt on Phil. put a bell on him because he's so sneaky.
He is very sneaky. He just appears places. Is he a ghost? Maybe Phil's a ghost.
Or maybe that's a twist. You think maybe he's been the ghost of one of the past kids that was killed, and she's haunting this house. Ooh, that's great...
definitely it.
Oh, Andy! Now for once, you're finally coming with some good Phil theories, Andy. So
maybe there's a ghost elsewhere in this episode. Ooh.
Is there a ghost elsewhere in this episode?
Maybe.
Oh, you've been watching JoJo.
I can promise Alex has not been watching JoJo.
Yeah. Well, I'm hinting at another character that appears for like 2 seconds.
Oh, you mean Corny?
Thanks, Alex. Thanks, Alex, for doing that.
Crone.
Yeah.
You mean Crone? Those two characters know that died are Carney and Crone. And Norman, I guess.
Yeah, there you go. Good job, Steve.
You figured it out. You read between the lines.
But yeah, so can we talk about Norman briefly here? I don't know if you want to do the whole plan thing first.
What we talk about here, because we've talked about Isabella. Yeah, let's talk about Norman. It's probably fine to talk about Norman now.
Yes.
Yeah,
so
go ahead.
First, our first setup to Norman is that Emma, as she reveals her plan, it's like, hey, I actually got a letter from Norman, laying out the entire plan, and we're reading it out. And then in the middle, there's also a flashback to a conversation she had with Norman about telling the other kids, and Norman being amenable to that. So Norman had appeared a couple of times in the episode, but then at the very end, when they reach the wall, Emma looks up at the wall and then sees Norman by her side, and Norman puts his hand behind him in his backpack. But then when the group shot happens, Norman is no longer there. I think the superficial interpretation is just Emma feels Norman's presence, or she's I couldn't have done this without Norman. Norman is my best friend, so I'll always have him in my heart, sort of thing. But what if Norman is a ghost?
Yeah, the 1000 IQ thing is that he's a ghost, not just her reminiscing.
I hate sometimes they do that. I was confused at first. I thought maybe there was a flashback to them doing a practice run to the escape. That's when they saw Norman. So,
well, actually, my thing is that the first time I watched, because it was so quick, the first time that I watched it, I was like, "Oh, wait, did Norman escape? Are we gonna have to see the Norman escape thing in the next episode?" But then the second time I watched, I was like, "No, wait, he disappears." Whoa.
Yeah. It lingers on him just long enough that you're like, "Wait, is he actually there?" Because I thought he was just a ghost in this scene. But
but the moment of him putting his hand behind Emma's back is very sweet. So I just want to say give that particular action some notice, please.
Yeah, and it also adds more explanation for what happened in the episode where he didn't run away, which I really liked. I really liked how he went to those kids and he wrote down and we see him writing a letter for Emma. And I don't know. It was pretty emotional seeing him do that, him knowing everything that was going to happen to him and everyone else, and he still went along with it. And Norman's an interesting character, a very interesting character.
Yeah, interesting though. He got to be the martyr. He's what Ray tried to be, which is pretty much the sacrificial lamb.
Right, but the difference is that he's telling other people about what he's doing, whereas Ray was going to do it all on his own. So,
and he wasn't going to set himself on fire.
Well, although I'll say it still feels a little weird that Emma lets Norman go through with all this stuff. Although I guess Norman has also displayed in the past that he's able to convince Emma of things being right.
Maybe he believes he'll survive somehow.
Right, but given how Emma treats Ray's attempts to plan things alone, it's an interesting difference between how Emma handles Ray and how Emma handles Norman's.
Yeah, and that's just part of her very, very high social intelligence. She understands these two kids, and she understands them very well. And she knows when people are being self-destructive in a way that's unhealthy, I think. She understands that.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I just remember that we missed one part of Ray's thing earlier in the episode, which was that he apparently doesn't like to study. He did it just to spite Mom in the end.
Yes.
Which I think was an amazing little touch to this whole thing.
I'm going to get smart on purpose so my brain gets really big.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to take it away from them.
Yeah. Which I find to be a really funny twist because it's just so absurd.
Something needs to think his plans through sometime. I think Norman is, Ray, he definitely might be the most emotional of the group, even more than Emma.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's emotion in a different way in terms of like keeping it all internal and like that when you do that, it causes it to boil up in more extreme ways when you let it come out, as opposed to like Emma, who's open all the time and so is able to be a little bit more composed in those tense situations.
Yeah, it's like an inferno, you might say.
Yeah. Also, another moment that is great is that Emma ends up slapping Ray in the face.
Yeah, that is a great moment.
A very deserved slap, and it was nice. And Ray in general, like after he gets saved, like he seems to just have a shocked expression the entire episode. Like he's seeing all the kids escape, he's like, wait, what's going on? And like later he like sees the kids get to the wall and he's just like mouth agape. Like what?
He's
How?
shocked that it worked. Like he
Yeah.
just can't believe that it's working.
Mm-hmm.
It's really it's like Emma just played everybody and it's really great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Emma's probably might be actually episode MVP. Except for maybe Anna, but yeah, episode MVP.
Yeah, I can't forget Anna. And I guess also, I guess we missed out a little thing of all the kids bringing in, like we didn't talk about it besides Steve mentioning it, we missed all the kids bringing in all the supplies of what they're actually burning. Because there's the moment of Isabella walking into the room where she says, oh, what's that smell? Because the smell of human hair burning is actually really vile. If you don't know what it is, like the smell of a human body burning is not a good smell, and Isabella not knowing that smell and finding it really disgusting kind of adds to the your believability of Ray might be actually burning in this scene, which I think is
yeah, I'll say I saw sausages in there, and I was like, oh, okay, so they're planning to. This is like them like wrapping their supplies and all, and then like it didn't click for me until the second watch. Like, oh, okay, they're burning that stuff.
Yeah, replace Ray. I think the sausages might be a little strange because that might just smell like good meat for a little bit.
Ooh. Yeah, that smells good. This episode making me hungry a bit. I thought weird, kind of cool though how the younger kids that was in on the plan, how militarized they become, how they're like perfect soldiers, and
it's all the preparation of playing tag.
Yeah, I feel like I'm watching another show. I feel like I'm watching like a Craig of the Creek or something over how.
Oh yeah, this is just as fun and
how militaristic these kids are. Just cool.
Oh my god. I think the last thing I want to talk about here is we finally get to see at least part of what Crone gave to the kids. And that is cuz that's been a big sticking point. Like we have this pen and we have this box that Crone gave to Emma. Or to Norman, I apologize. And it happens to be a key to the room that Isabella uses to contact headquarters. And so that finally pays off after all this time that they have this key. Or is it a key to Isabella's room? Which one is it? I think it's a key to Isabella's room. I apologize.
Well, see, I was going to ask because the way I saw Isabella is that she pulls out her own key and then can't put it in the hole because it's blocked.
Did they put their key in and break it? That's kind of the way I've read it.
Oh, that could make sense. Yeah, but it was unclear to me, even on second watch, what they actually, what the items that Norman had to do with
their plan.
Yeah. And the pen still makes no sense whatsoever.
The pen makes no sense.
I think that could be something we may not know till season 5.
Well, what if it's a communication device? There's still an episode left.
Can you enlighten us, Steve, to what happened with this, how they blocked off the door here, or what the key had to do, or is it not something that has been shown yet?
I don't know. That's haven't really been shown yet. I'm not sure. That's sometimes just like you, Andy. So much stuff going on at once. It goes past me. So
that's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine. I was just curious. If you have any more to add to this, because I just wasn't 100% sure what they did with the key. But it's nice to know what was in the box at the very least. It's not information anymore. Also, we learned what's underneath the floorboards that Norman found. He found the oil that Ray was going to use. And, but we still have not seen because Ray still has that note written down on it, what Isabella's weakness is, and we don't know what that is still. So we still have some hidden information from us, so I hope we learn that at least next episode.
Oh, I know what it is. I'm not saying.
Yeah, I know.
Good for
I know
you.
you know, Steve. Thanks.
Isabella's weakness is Phil.
Yes,
Ta-da.
We did that already. You said that already in the previous podcast.
Well, I wasn't here.
I know, but that's an old joke.
yeah. Isabella's weakness is actually just like she really, really likes salmon. Like she really likes a good salmon dinner, and that's her weakness.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, yeah. Do you guys have any? I think that's pretty much it. Like this episode is very tense, but there's like not a lot of there's not a lot that actually happens.
I mean, you say not a lot. We've been talking for like 45 minutes. I think.
Well, but it's like there's not like
it's not an hour.
No,
well, like, it's a recap. It's a recap of what happened in the time skip and like the actual escape that happens.
Yeah,
so like I think everything happens fast, and that's why it doesn't feel like a lot. But I think actually a lot did happen, and that's what makes this episode very impactful.
Like there's a lot that happens, but it's not like we can. A lot is happening in ways that we don't. There's not really a need to talk about. Like we don't need to talk about them running through the forest to the wall. You know what I mean? Like a lot of detail, and that's cool and fun. But there's not a lot to dissect there. Is what I'm trying to say.
If we're gonna do predictions, just you two do predictions. I'm gonna stay out of this. So
yeah. So I guess we still haven't seen the rest of Emma's plan. That's true. Like what are we gonna do once we get on? Are we just gonna run to headquarters, or do we have a different plan after that?
Yeah. Well, I wonder if Emma has not read the whole letter that Norman wrote.
Yeah.
I wonder if there is like some extra thing that Norman has planned for once they get onto the wall. I'm still hazy on the geography, but the way I understood it is that once they would get to the top of the wall, they'd need to like run to the opposite end of the hexagon that they live in to get to the bridge. I
don't know if it's the opposite side, but they'd have to run along the wall to get to the part of the hexagon that connects to the bridge because they can't climb at the gate because they couldn't. Like, it would be too easy for Mom to see that they were planning something there, I guess.
Right, and so like Ray has made Molotovs for them to play like tossing in the farms they pass along the way.
I completely forgot that. Okay. When that might be the most unbelievable part of this entire episode, Alex, for me, because there's a moment when Ray says he's made Molotovs, and Emma goes, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah, Emma, I'm right there with you." Make Molotovs of all things, Ray.
Look, the man was about to self-immolate himself. I'm gonna say he's a little bit of a pyromaniac, and he would be into making Molotov cocktails.
I'm fine with him making Molotov cocktails. I'm just amazed that he did it.
I'm just excited. Hopefully, when this thing's gonna get dubbed in English, I'm hoping Ray is voiced by Johnny Young Bosch. Johnny Young Bosch has to play Ray. He's too perfect for that role.
But it also fits with his personality in terms of like him like going off the deep end and like wanting to like exact the most revenge possible on this whole organization for like, as he mentions, like his family keeps dying in front of him his entire life, so he wants to kill, and that is a way to kill. So
I also think he was definitely kind of put off by how like a couple episodes ago Isabella completely like was through with him like. So he definitely wanted revenge on her, too, for throwing him away. Like, how dare you throw me away after all I've done for you?
Yeah. It's...
There's a lot of stuff that has pushed Ray to the point where he got at that point. And in a way that's what makes it feel like so, I don't know if refreshing is the word, but like seeing him just for the rest of the episode be so shocked at everything that's happening after like seeing him get to the point of insanity, but then being pulled away and like him being able to like self-recover. It feels it feels nice to like see that like Emma has saved a person from dying that didn't need to die. It feels great. The show is great.
Yeah. After she failed to save Norman, so 1 in 1.
You don't know that.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We'll see. There's still a lot of I think Chekhov's guns here that we have to pay off. It really seems like not all of them will be paid off this season, like the pen. Like I think Steve was joking about season 5 thing, but I do think that we're not going to see what the pen means this season. But I think, like, sorry, go ahead.
Is Phil a gun?
Maybe. Like, maybe Phil's a Chekhov's gun. Maybe he's a literal gun.
You mean, oh my, again, you guys been reading Soul Eater?
I know what Soul Eater is. It's actually a crossover.
The last word of this episode is just "mama," and you know but the next episode will begin with like him saying "mama" again, but bullets come out of his mouth while he's saying it.
If that actually happened, Alex, I would be so happy. I would be so happy if that just happened. Like if this show just turned into like an absurdist comedy out of nowhere or something.
I mean, an actual question, like speaking of absurdists, like, do you think we're going to see demons in the final episode? Because we have been really like keeping them out for like almost all of this show. Like if they're going to use them, I feel like they got to use them in the finale. And like that is going to cause some strange juxtapositions of like kids and demons. So like I don't want to set my expectations too high, but like I really hope that we get some demon stuff at least this final episode.
I'd be kind of disappointed if we don't see them because the first episode just starts so strong with the demons, and it really sets you up to like these are the bad guys in the show. And I get that Isabella is like supposed to be set to feel like this human is a monster too, but then
she's worked up to this point, but like also we've gotten to a point where she's broken, so like it feels like the right time to do like some kind of team up thing where like the demons realize that she has failed and they require sending backup sort of situation.
Yeah, like because we know that there's at least 1 or 2 demons in that gatehouse. Usually, it seems like. So maybe she goes to the gatehouse, gets a couple of them, and now it's Isabella and a demon or 2 and all the kids. You know what I mean? And that would be very scary to see.
God help us. You think perhaps maybe Phil's calling demon back up?
Oh my God. I'm not letting you still do this, Steve. We're going to, because Steve has mentioned Phil like 5 times now, I think that's a sign that we should move on to wrapping up.
To be fair, it's my fault as well. Like I'm also egging on here.
No, Alex. I don't want you to accept. No, you don't get to take the blame for this, Alex, because Steve did all of this.
I didn't completely all. Like I said, I got this from Wheeling on Manga Recap. They're the ones who got this in my head. So,
oh my God, Alex, do you have any final thoughts here?
Promised Neverland is a really good show about the relationship dynamics of children, and in a way about how each of us deal with problems differently, and how in the end we should lean on each other to make important decisions in life and not depend on ourselves and allow ourselves to go into a manic circle of mental breakdown. So it's inspiring in a way to think about that. And there are demons in the background about to eat the humans. And it's like having that in the background is like a nice push to like making all this like personal dynamic stuff meaningful. So these are nice children and there's nice characters. I'm going to be a little sad to see it end, but this show has done well enough for me to trust whatever they decide to do.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. I am also excited. Steve, do you have any final thoughts?
Not much I can say really without spoiling next week's episode.
All right,
like I say, let me say my overall thought that I love this season and I'm looking forward to season 2. And God help us all if these kids make it or not.
Yeah,
pray for them.
Pray for the kids. Yes.
Does God exist in a world with demons hunting humans?
Oh God. But anyways, so I'm excited. I also really want to see where we go here. I want to see the Molotovs thrown, big great balls of fire, ring of fire, set fire to the rain. We're done. You can find out all this info on this podcast at overlyanimated.com. Join us on Discord to text chat about animation at overlyanimated.com/Discord. Support us via Patreon at patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thanks to all our current patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, Sam, aka Suitcase Sam. And thanks as always to our patron executive producers, John, Ryan, Steve, Alex, and Hugh. Any other fire-based songs you guys want to drop here before we sign off?
You already did. Okay, you did Great Balls
Burn,
of Fire.
baby, burn. Disco Inferno.
Oh,
burn.
I
think that's how Shrek 2 ends. There's like there's a whole American Idol knockoff, and Donkey and Puss in Boots sing Disco Inferno. So
Yeah, they do. It's.
Yeah.
Oh, how about Fire by the Ohio Players?
okay.
That's a good ending. Good job. All right.
So 70s one-hit wonder, sure.
All right. Yeah, check out our Starburst Force of Evil podcast or Miraculous podcast if you're interested in that. We'll see you next time, guys.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.